Introduce ICLAI South Asia, what we are and why we did some work on Khazans. So we're basically an international network of cities, and we have 23 offices globally, out of which all of us whom you see here, I'll just ask my colleagues to be raising their hands because they're already standing. Ritika, Shayesh and Saili and myself, all of us come from the South Asia office, which is headquartered in Delhi. Saili and Shayesh are based in Goa itself. Ritika works from our Hyderabad office. Globally, our headquarters are in Bonn. We work across 5 interconnected pathways: low emission development, nature-based development, equitable and people-centric development, resilient development, and circular development. If you look at it, all of these are interconnected, and if you see, Khazans can fall under each of them, but if you want a straightforward going, it goes into the nature development pathway. But in saying that, it's equally relevant to all the others as well. The South Asia office, like the name suggests, we work in the entire South Asian region. We were established in 2005, and we work primarily across cities, but we also do a lot of rural work. And we try to bring in the concept of sustainable development, both at the policy level and right at the grassroots level. And we do a lot of capacity building and trainings. And this also includes trainings and capacity building of leadership at the political as well as bureaucracy level. Like I explained, our headquarters is Delhi. We have a Southern Regional Center in Hyderabad. We also have an office in Dhaka. We have state operation offices. Plus, we have a lot of regional or project offices. Like in Goa, we have one where Shayesh and Saili work. Coming to Goa, our relationship with Goa is very, very old. We were the organization that had developed the Smart City proposal of Goa. Prior to that, we worked on various things like vulnerability assessments, etc. Presently, we are the biggest technical support group to Goa State Biodiversity Board, handling over 70 people's biodiversity registers. We're working on grasslands in Goa. We've also worked on value chain analysis of bioresources in Goa. We're working on several aspects of urban biodiversity in Goa. One of them is an illustrated natural asset map, which we've developed for Panaji. Urban Khazans is another thing that we're working on, and we also have worked on urban freight movement, how to make it low carbon in the city of Panaji. This is the illustrated natural asset map of Goa, which we had developed through one of our other projects. This basically follows the Azolo tiles, and it shows the a landscape level view of the biodiversity which is there in Goa. Now, coming to the present project, this is a project which is funded by Azim Premji University, and this aimed at looking at Khazans as an ecosystem and how they can be, how they need sustainable development and why they need it. I'll hand over to Ritika, who will just take you through the project at a glimpse, followed by Shayesh, who will talk in more details about the handbook that we have developed.
Thank you, Mona. Good afternoon, everyone. Maje Konkani Itli Borina, so I will speak to you in English. My name is Ritika. I was one of the main researchers on the project. And the project is titled Need for an Urban Policy on Khazans. I heard somebody in the audience ask what an urban Khazan is. It's just a Khazan that is found in an urban area. And I will explain to you why we decided to call it an urban Khazan. Why did we title our project an urban Khazan? But first, I'd like to take you through a little bit of my history. I come from the port city of Mangalore, and I was born there. I grew up in a landlocked city, Hyderabad, and my grandparents who lived in Mangalore, we would see them every summer. My grandfather, he was almost a military man. He worked in agriculture, but he had 7 children. 17 grandchildren, and he ran the household with military precision. And he would say this, "Time and the tide wait for no man." And he would say this so loudly because he was so punctual, and every time he said that, everyone knew they had to run, get ready, and jump into wherever they had to be. So I never understood the proverb that he used. I always thought I had to be punctual. But if you actually look at it, and if you think about it, it talks about the essence of just being present in the moment. That there are things that we need to do because the time and the tide doesn't wait for anybody. Goa is also part of my heritage. My ancestors came from Goa. They escaped Goa, escaped the persecution, and moved down to the coast of Karnataka. And I actually reconnected with Goa in 2017 thanks to the State Biodiversity Board. We started a project where we helped to document people's biodiversity registers in this state. And the sea is also very much a part of my heritage. When I went to Agarwada, Chopre and Parse to do their people's biodiversity registers, I found out about salt pans. As Indians, we learn about the salt pans of Gujarat. I never knew Goa has salt pans. And I was absolutely amazed. And then I found out about this agro-ecological marvel of a system, the Khazans. I used to call it Khazans. Someone said it's Khazans, so I don't know what the actual way to say it is. But I found out about this amazing ecosystem, and I was wondering why we don't talk about it anymore. Or why don't we talk about it enough in Goa? Every time I passed by from the airport to Panjim, I didn't realize that the fields that were overrun by mangroves and whatever was left along the highway, I think it's the NH66, that was a Khazan and still is to some extent. So beyond Khazans as a granary where nuste ani, sheet ani, curry, we get the basic of what you see on a Goan plate, there are so many more important things that Khazans give us. And in urban areas, we're losing our Khazans. So in Panjim, you barely see them anymore. But there is still a relevance because they protect us from sea level rise, the ravages of climate change. When Goa has been experiencing large volumes of water from the sky, flooding, if we had these systems intact, we wouldn't suffer as much as we have been these days. So that got me thinking, and then I approached Mona Lisa and we decided to move forward with a research project that was funded by APU, the Azim Premji University. We started our work in 2021, and around that time, the GCZMA came up with their coastal zone management plan, and they released a draft Khazan land management plan. And this land management plan was actually talking about the absence of data on what Khazans are. We know 17,000, 18,000 hectares, but nobody knows actually how much of a Khazan is left in this state. So we decided to look at Panjim, because that's your capital city, which is losing its Khazans, and see what is the relevance of something like that in and around Panjim. We had 3 objectives that we looked at. They're quite simple. What is the present condition of Khazans? What are the threats that urban areas pose to Khazans? Because as you all know, 55% of the world's population is in cities. That's more than half. So more and more of our world is urbanizing. We're losing our green spaces, we're losing our forests, we're losing our mangroves, we're losing our grasslands. So it's really important to see how these urban areas impact Khazans. Why is mainstreaming necessary and how can you achieve it? And we looked at Panjim, we looked at Talegaon, Mershe, and we looked at Santa Cruz. These are the areas in and around Panjim. We've really simplified this for you, but we wanted to come up with an action plan for these urban Khazans, as we call them. And we also wanted to put out some material that people would understand and talk a little bit more about Khazans. We had some really important people that worked, like Sayesh over there, Saili, myself. There was another person who worked with us, Jalmesh, and we did a lot of field work to answer our questions. But to simplify everything for you, we overall wanted to come up with this, a strategy and action plan for Urban Khazans. And so we asked these questions. What is the present situation? What are the threats? And why should you mainstream the conservation of Khazans? And under each question, we had a number of other questions that we were asking and we were trying to find the answer for. And I'm just going to summarize this in less than 5 minutes. There is a lot of information there, but just to give you an idea of why we're releasing what we're releasing today. We conducted a large number of activities under each of these questions that we asked. And so the answer to what the present situation, what are Khazans? What is the extent of a Khazan? What? We have a Khazan. We had a stakeholder meeting where we discussed what a Khazan is. And this was just for us to identify as researchers. Not all of us came from Goa, but what can you identify as land that belongs, that is called a Khazan? So we had certain features that we looked at. It should be low-lying, saline, should be part of a reclaimed floodplain, below river or sea level, protected by a bund, surrounded by mangroves. Now this was a huge contention because mangroves, while part of some Khazan systems, are not part of all Khazan systems, and if they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, they can be very problematic for a Khazan. It should be rich in biodiversity and it should be suitable for agriculture and aquaculture. We also mapped stakeholders. So a stakeholder can be anyone who lives in vicinities of Khazans, but more importantly, farmers, fishermen, the sluice gate leasers, researchers and educators studying Khazans, the tenants association, the state government departments, the comunidad, the NGOs and residents. And so what our research answered was that the total present area that is occupied by Khazans and salt pans are a type of Khazans, across these 4 villages and city, Panjim, Santa Cruz, Merche and Talikau, is this much hectares. Now if I say this, you cannot visualize it, but I can tell you that it's 7.75% of this taluk, Tiswadi Taluka's Khazans. Not this taluk, the one where Panjim is. We looked at the land use as well, and you can see this very colorful map. This was our square extent. When you look at a boundary on a GIS system, it doesn't help you cut and paste that. You have to do separately. But you can see that the yellow color over here, this is all your Khazan ecosystem. And all the pink and the red, this is all urban built up areas. So, that question about urban Khazans comes into play because our cities, our natural areas are becoming more and more urban. What was the biodiversity? We documented 10 species of mangroves. We found 96 species of flowering plants. Actually, of which 15 were non-native and 11 were invasive. Of the 76 or 72 plants that were native, I think 26 didn't even belong to Khazans. They were brought from the hills because a lot of soil that comes to be used in repairs of Khazans is brought from areas that are not low-lying areas. So you introduce species that were never found in that area. They may be native to Goa, but they're not native to Khazan land. So we found out about various types of crustaceans, mollusks, fish. We documented birds. We also found that there were smooth-coated otters and muggers, which are vulnerable on the IUCN red list. And then we looked at the threats, and what we found was, in a span of 20 years, when we looked at 2003 and compared it with today, 2023, last year, there had been a reduction in the area of Khazans in that square boundary I showed you, that colorful square boundary. And that was about 11% of the 2003 area gone. And why? You can see over here, there's a road, there's construction debris, there's construction, there's waste facilities. there's even more cultivation, but it's not Khazan cultivation, it's not rice cultivation. So what we found was, in terms of all of the different types of components in a Khazan and what it was replaced with by a certain land use, we found that fields had gone down by 363%. The salt pans had reduced by 1.26%. It doesn't seem like that much, but it is. And mangroves had increased by 100%. So had other types of cultivation. We had roads now, we had people's homes, we had built up areas, all in this space that was occupied by a Khazan. And then we put that on a map and we looked at the threats. We found that, you know, the red color here is a very critical level of threat because it's the land uses that cannot be transformed back into Khazans. These are your built up areas. Then you have the next level, which is high. So people have turned certain parts of the Khazan into homesteads, home areas, into fruit plantations, which is less difficult to convert back to Khazans, but still difficult. Then we had the medium threats. So this is areas where, people have planted trees. Trees don't belong. There are certain types of trees that belong in Khazans, like coconut trees, which were planted on the bunds, but other types of trees don't belong there. And this is all Taligaon, you can see here. Low is land which was left fallow. Khazans where people are no longer converting. So we found all of these different things. We also asked people invasive species, because it is supposed to be an area rich in biodiversity, and invasive species threaten biodiversity. So we asked them, we gave them a list of all of these different things. We did our own surveys, but we asked people who work in Khazans what they thought. Do you see these types of species found? And they said yes. So that brought us to our third question. Why should we mainstream Khazans? And I'm sure some of you or a lot of you here know about ecosystem services. What is an ecosystem service? It's the benefit that you get from an ecosystem. And so Khazan is a type of ecosystem, right? And there are 4 types: provisioning, regulating, supporting. Provisioning, everyone knows that you get fish, you get rice from Khazans. So that is your provisioning service. But more than that, do you know that Khazans protect your freshwater resources? Does anybody know that? Apparently not very many people in Goa know that. Your freshwater is protected because of the presence of Khazans. Now if the bunds are broken, if Khazans are lost, Goa will not have enough of drinking water left. So that's something to think about. Regulating, we all know that floods are Goa is protected or can be protected from flooding if you keep certain ecosystems intact. So nutrient cycling, the food chain, the food web is all dependent on some of these ecosystems. And of course, cultural and ethical values. Khazans are a heritage ecosystem of Goa. Everybody says that, and everybody understands that value. Even if you can't quantify it, you are attached to it. So we asked people, we administered a questionnaire and we asked them what they thought. And interestingly, everyone said that the cultural services meant the most. They ranked them the highest. Then they said regulating services are important, and then they said provisioning services are relevant to Khazans. But mostly people wanted to protect Khazans because they felt that cultural service, which is often non-quantifiable, that is the reason why we need to protect this ecosystem. And then we developed a vision for our Khazan action plan. And this is it, simply to build an equitable and sustainable future by reviving and prioritizing Khazans, a heritage ecosystem, through community participation and transparent, accountable management rooted in indigenous knowledge. We looked at focus areas once we had developed that vision. And we had 5 focus areas. We developed 61 strategies based on those 5 focus areas and 158 actions. And that action plan is going to be released into the public domain soon. But what we realized is there actually is a need for more transparency, more participation, more awareness among the public. Not enough of Goans know about, forget people outside the country, but outside the state. People inside the state don't know enough about these ecosystems. And this is why we have decided to release something like a handbook on Khazans. So I will just pass the mic over to Saish. He will explain to you what, why, how the handbook before we release the same.
Thank you, Ritika. Good evening, everyone. So, it is a great honor to be standing over here and speaking about the handbook today. So, as you see, the Goa's Khazans, a unique guard against a climate change. I will not speak technically, but I will take you through the perception of Khazans, what everyone feels, and what actually Khazans are. So, I belong to a place where Khazans are not present. Okay. I belong to a place where Khazans are not present, and the cultivation, so paddy cultivation mostly happens on the landscapes like Barad, Morad, आम्ही हिली एरियन खुबशे भात करता नाचणू करता and I similarly thought Khazans will be तशेंच आसतले. Khazan is a low lying area where we cultivate paddy and we get fish from sluice gates. तर माणसं आसा आणि शेत आसा हे माझे परसेप्शन असले खाजना बद्दल. But as I studied Khazans and as I studied हायेन जो प्रोजेक्ट आता केला त्याच्या उपरांत my perception about the Khazan has changed vast, very different. And today I know that they are the managed river basins which our ancestors protected, preserved for not only for the production of food but also for protecting us from the natural disasters like floods, storms. Yes, and these are the different components of Khazans. So if you see this slide, it's okay, ma'am. Yeah, if you see this slide, you can directly relate that our staple food, that is fish curry and rice, has directly came from the Khazan. So Khazan म्हटल्यार फक्त शेतूच न्ही, खाजनान बांस आसा ज्या बांसांचेर आमी कोकोनट्स ग्रो करता, तुम्ही पयला आसतले. Then we have sluice gate where we find fish, right? So we have fish from Poi and sluice gate, we have rice from the paddy fields, then we have coconut from the buns, and also we grow some vegetables from on the buns, right? So आमची जी फिश करी रायसाची प्लेट आसा ती डायरेक्टली आमच्या खाजना बरोबर कनेक्टेड आसा अँड दीज आर एन्सिस्टर्स न्यू. तेंच्यांनी जेन्ना हे खाजन डिझायन केले आमी चिंतूंक नासतले, आमी चिंतताली की वेन आय एक्चुअली सॉ दीस प्रोसेस आणि खाजनान जे कशे स्लुईस गेट्स बीन आसा ते जेन्ना पळयले पळय, आय वॉज अमेज. यू नो, आमचे एन्सिस्टर्स असले ते इतले हुशार असले, तेंच्यांनी खंयची डिग्री घेवंक नासली आसतली. डेफिनेटली त्या टायमार तेंच्यांनी खंयचो इंजिनियरिंग कोर्स ऑर कसली सिव्हिल इंजिनियर डिग्री कसली घेवंक नासली आसतली. बट दे वर सो ब्रिलियंट, दे वर सो क्लेवर की हांव तुमकां एकूच सांगता, एकूच कंपोनंट खाजनाचो घेवया आनी सांगता की ही जी स्लुईस गेट आसा पळय, ती स्लुईस गेट आमचे जे मातीचे लाकूड आसा त्याच्यापासून ते तयार केला. ओके, आणि ती स्लुईस गेट आसा दॅट ऑपरेट्स ऑटोमॅटिकली विथ द इन्फ्लुएन्स ऑफ द टाइड. सो टाइड लेवल जसो वाडटा, जशी भरती जाता तेन्ना उदक खाजनान भितर येता आणि स्लुईस गेटीची दारां ऑटोमॅटिकली बंद जाता एकदा फुल खाजन भरले मागीर. आणि जेन्ना लो टायड जाता, समुद्रान जेन्ना लो टायड जाता तेन्ना खाजनान जे उदक भरलेले असता ते स्लोली खाजनांच्यान भायर वयता थ्रू दी स्लुईस गेट आणि ती स्लुईस गेट स्लोली ओपन जाता. सो हांगासर एका मनशाक सुद्धा चॅक दवरपाची गरज ना. आमच्या एन्सिस्टर्सांनी इतले चिंतून ती स्लुईस गेट बांदलेली की आमी आतां इवन आमकां जर डॅमाची गेट सोडपाक जाय जाल्यार थंयसर कोण तरी मनीस जाय की सो ती गेट ओपन करतलो ऑर बंद करतलो, थंयसर मनीस दवरचो पडटा. बट हांगासर त्या मनशाची पासून गरज ना, बिकॉज इट ऑटोमॅटिकली अलॉंग विथ द नॅचरल फ्लो म्हणटा तसो ती ओपन जाता आणि बंद जाता. सो आमी चिंतूंक पासून शकना की तेंच्यांनी इतली तकली लावन ते खाजन आसा ते आमचे डिझायन केले त्या टायमार, रायट? अँड ऑलवेज आय वंडर्ड अबाउट द लोकल सॉल्ट. आमचे गावठी मीठ आसा ते खंयच्यान येयले. आमच्या गांवांत पावसाच्या पयलीं खुबश्यो गाडयो येताले आणि आमकां संवय आसली ती व्हडल्यान ती मीठ मीठ करीत येता न्ही गांवांत. सो तेन्ना आमी त्याच्या फाटल्यान टेम्पोच्या फाटल्यान धांवताले आणि ते मीठ आमी स्पेशली घेताले माडांक घालपाक. बट आय ऑलवेज यूज टू थिंक की हे मीट येता तरी खंयच्यान, कित्याक म्हाका तर कांयच ना आयडिया ना. म्हाका दिसतालें की समुद्रातले उदक काडटा, तापयता आणि मीट करता म्हणून. बट एक्चुअली द प्रोसेस इट केम फ्रॉम हियर, सॉल्ट पॅन्स जे खाजनान आसा. सो हे मीठ आसा ते पासून आमकां खाजनांतल्यानूच मेळटा हे म्हाका जेन्ना हांव प्रोजेक्टान स्टडी करतालो तेन्ना म्हाका कळ्ळें. आणि आय नो सिमिलर परसेप्शन मेनी पीपल हॅव, बिकॉज आय हॅव स्पोकन टू मेनी पीपल ज्या जाग्यांचेर खाजना ना, इवन ज्या जाग्यांचेर खाजना आसा स्पेशली त्या सुद्धा लोकांक ह्यो गजाली चडश्यांक खबर ना. ओके, सो दिस इज जस्ट अ एरियल पिक्चर. जर खाजन तुम्ही हांगासर पळोवंक शकता कशें आसा ते. सो द ब्राऊन थिंग्स वॉट यू सी आर द फिल्ड्स. थंयसरूच खंय तरी मदीं सॉल्ट पॅन्सूय आसतले, बिकॉज हांगा ना, बट देन अशें अरेंजमेंटान खंय तरी सॉल्ट पॅन्स आसतले. देन देर आउटसाइड दॅट इज अ रिवर, थंय खंय तरी स्लुईस गेट आसा, थंयच्यान रिवरांतले उदक भितर येता खाजनांसून. दीज आर ऑल पॉइंट्स. त्या पॉइंटल्यान उदक भितर येता आणि लो टायडाच्या टायमार पॉइंटल्यानूच उदक भायर वयता. आणि दीज आर सम स्मॉल वॉटर चॅनल्स विच हेल्प्स खाजन्स फ्रॉम इनंडेशन. जे फ्लडिंग जावंक जायना म्हणून ते बारकेले वॉटर चॅनल्स आसता पळय, पोयच्या सायडीच्यान जे बारकेले चॅनल्स आसा ते असता, सो दॅट खाजन फूल उदकान भरोन फ्लड जावंक जायना, मागीर उदक गांवान येतलें. रायट, येस. सो एज आय सेड की आमच्या खुबशा लोकांक खबर आसना, तशेंच नाव आर न्यू जनरेशन इज ऑल्सो अनअवेअर ऑफ द रिसोर्सीस अराउंड देम. जर तुम्ही पहिले आम्ही आताच्या जनरेशनाक झेन झी जनरेशन अशें म्हणटा, रायट, झेन झेड ऑर झेन झूमर्स अशें तांकां म्हणटा. कित्याक बिकॉज दे आर ऑलवेज इन टू इंस्टाग्राम, पबजी खेळप, आणि तेंच्यांनी केन्ना वचून फिल्डान पळोवंक ना, इवन तेंच्यांनी केन्ना रानान वचून चारा चुन्नां खावंक ना आसतली, बिकॉज दे ऑलवेज आर इन टू मोबायल्स. तांकां इवन चारा चुन्नांची टेस्ट पासून मोबायलारूच येता की हा हे अशें लागता आसतलें म्हणून, बिकॉज तेंच्यांनी केन्ना फिल्डान वचून आपूण प्लग करून केन्ना खावंक ना आसतली, जे आमी ऑलरेडी एक्सपिरियन्स केला. इवन आय एम ब्लेस्ड टू एक्सपिरियन्स दॅट. आयज जाल्यार म्हाका दिसता खावपाक पावचा नासलो. सिमिलरली मेनी पीपल डोंट नो अबाउट द रिसोर्सीस इन खाजान. चिपा हे एक मँग्रोव फ्रूट आसा जे आमचे पयलीं एन्सिस्टर्स खाताले. अँड म्हाका दिसता जाणटेले खाल्ले त्याच्या उपरांत हांवें सुद्धा एकूच फावटी हे टेस्ट केला, त्याच्या उपरांत हांवें केन्नाच ते खावंक ना. आणि म्हाका दिसता आतांच्या भुरग्यांक तर तुमी विचारत नाका, तांकां चिपा म्हटल्यार काय ते खबरूच ना. ओके, कमिंग टू the Khazans also is a fascinating ecosystem that supports the rich biodiversity. Khaznan फक्त खावण जेवणच न्हू, not only the ecosystem services but also it provides a habitat for the rich biodiversity and it supports a variety of plants and animals, right? हांगासर हांवें फक्त दोनच फोटो घातला तेंच्या बद्दल सांगता. That's a lesser adjutant stock. Lesser adjutant stock is actually a vulnerable species that their population is decreasing all over the world. Okay, but how I personally observed when I was studying this, especially Santa Cruz and nearby areas are there. INLJ population खूप पहिला. Okay, and we have them in our Khazans. I have seen 2 pairs nesting near the Kharo Sako at Santa Cruz. जर कोणाक वचून केन्ना पळोवंक जाय, फोटोग्राफ करूंक जाय जाल्यार यू कॅन गो अँड सी देर. सो दीज आर व्हेरी ह्यूज बर्ड with a wingspan of one wingspan weighing around 1 meter, and they are massive. You will see them like पळयल्या उपरांत तुम्ही लागच्यान, I don't know, so someone from Santa Cruz who has seen this. Okay, so their population is decreasing, but we have them in our Khazan, so we need to protect their habitats, we need to protect them. And also that second species of kingfisher, you know all, right? Kingfisher तुमका खबर आसा. Kingfisher, there are around 8 species of kingfisher that we found, and one of these is specifically found in Khazans. Khazans means this is found in the mangroves. हो तुमका आणि खंयसरूच मेळचो ना. तुमका जर कॉलर्ड किंगफिशर पळोवपाक वचोंक जाय जाल्यार फक्त मँग्रुव्जान वयचें पडटलें, ना जाल्यार खाजनाच्या लागीं, तरच तो तुमकां दिसतलो. अँड बिलीव मी, if you see this species, you are just blessed. आणि दुसरें म्हणल्यार खूबशे लोक, खूबशे फोटोग्राफर्स, खूबशे बर्डर्स, दे कम इन गोवा जस्ट टू सी दिस स्पीशीज अँड पे यू इन थाउजंड्स. जर तुमकां खंय नेस्ट खबर आसत जाल्यार डेफिनेटली यू कॅन रन अ स्मॉल इकोटुरिझम बिझनेस. You can see the nest of these species and you can take those people, show them, they will pay you in thousands. Believe me. 3,000 तरी एका दिसाचे मेळटले. Then not only about birds, Khazans provide a unique habitat for different insects, the spiders, there are birds, there are even there are some amphibians, frogs. आमकां खबर आसा बेबे आमी फक्त गोवा वी से जम्पिंग चिकन, राईट, बट बेब्यांचे रिसर्च खूब प्रमाणात चालू आसा अँड यू ऑल नो दॅट बेब्यांची कित्याक गरज आसा ती, राईट. जळार इल्ल्यो खूब जाता, दे आर ऑलवेज फीड ऑन दोज mosquitoes, right? And recently there are three, I have just put two over here. 2 species of new frogs has been discovered just now. One is in 2016, that one is very new, which is a Konkani species, recently described from Maharashtra, which is a similar habitat to like a khazan. It is not a khazan, it is not described from khazans, but these are similar habitats where there is a paddy field and there is a estuarine habitat. जे आमचे खारे साये उदक जे येता पळय, जे एकीकडे पावता आणि थंयसर जी शेतां आसा त्या शेतांनी हे 2 स्पिशीज डिस्कवर केल्ले आसा. सो यू कॅन थिंक ऑफ की वी हॅव लॉट ऑफ स्कोप इन खजान्स, स्पेशली द रिसर्चर. जर कोणाक रिसर्च करपाक जाय खजानान जाल्यार वी हॅव लॉट ऑफ स्कोप इन खजान्स, राईट. Then coming to our culture, आमचो जो कल्चर आसा, our biodiversity speaks through our culture, right? आम्ही नागपंचमी सेलिब्रेट करता, वी सेलिब्रेट चतुर्थी अँड देर वी डिस्प्ले आर बायोडायव्हर्सिटी. आम्ही माटोळी बांधता, थंय डिफरंट प्लांट्स आम्ही डेकोरेट करून दाखयता, डिस्प्ले करता. सिमिलरली वी हॅव समथिंग कॉल्ड एज मानगे थापणे, विच इज इन खजान, अँड इट्स अ पूजा डन for the crocodiles, because crocodiles are thought to be the protectors of the waters that our ancestors always believed, and they are actually, because they are scavenging, they scavenge and they are actually cleaning the waters. Okay, so आम्ही त्यांका सदाच देव कशे मानला आणि आमच्या खाजनान त्यांची पूजा जाता. Then Khazan is always looked after by our ancestors, and this is the different systems. It has gone through different hands. पहिली आमचे गावकारी सिस्टम आसली, जे गावकार मॅनेज करतले. Then during Portuguese time it came comunidad, कोमदाद म्हणटा आमी ते. That working was similar to गावकारी, but Portuguese येयले आणि तेंच्यांनी नाव चेंज केले. And now the Khazan is looked after by the tenant association along with the mamlid. We have lot of scientific publications, we have this book on Khazan, we have newspaper articles, but we do not have something, for a common man, for a students to understand Khazan in their own language. Also, our students, they जर आमच्या भुरग्यांक जर विचारले, बाबा हिमालय खंय आसा म्हटल्यार ते सारखे सांगता, Amazon खंय आसा म्हटल्यार ते सारखे सांगता. To certain extent they know about our western ghats, because nowadays वेस्टर्न घाट्स म्हणून खुबशे कितें मॅटर पेपरार आणि इंस्टाग्रामार आनी खंय येत आसता, रायट. सो तांकां कळटा, बट तांकां खाजना बद्दल जर विचारले जाल्यार तांकां खबर ना. सो इट्स लायक वी नो एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम दी वर्ल्ड, बट वी डोंट हॅव एनी आयडिया अबाउट वॉट इज देअर इन आवर बॅकयार्ड. आनी फाटल्यान कितें शिजता तें सुद्दां तांकां खबर आसना, रायट. सो दीस हँडबूक आय फील इट शूड कम इन करिक्युलम, इट शूड बी मॅन्डेटरी. And म्हाका दिसता एज्युकेशनान थ्रू मॅन्डेटरी करूंक जाय, आणि देर शूड बी वन टॉपिक एटलिस्ट ऑन खजान्स or one chapter on a khazan for the students, so that everyone from Goa should know about khazans, right? What you think, right? So let's talk about our handbook. So this handbook is a short snapshot about an ecosystem which all Goans should be aware of. It provides information about the history, function and the importance of khazans. Then khazans are special to Goa. They are called as heritage of Goa. तुमका khazans आणि खंय पळोवपाक मेळचे ना. Believe me, you go anywhere in the world, khazans फक्त गोंयानूच आसा आणि खंयसरूच ना. That's why they are called as heritage ecosystems. And our ancestors used their innovative methods to manage this water and land sustainably with the limited resources that they have. आयज आमी कितें, आयज आमकां जर मातशें कितें नासलें जाल्यार आमी म्हाजे कडेन हें ना, म्हाजे कडेन तें ना म्हणून कंप्लेन्स करता. बट तेंच्या कडेन त्या टायमार कितें रिसोर्सीस नासतना तेंच्यांनी इतले बरे खाजन डिझायन केल्ले, रायट. सो their cleverness, their smartness has lasted through time and give us all the lessons in how to deal with the incoming threats from the climate change, how to how we can sustain ourselves from the climate change, from the climate crisis, and how we can adapt from the climate crisis, right? So let us take this opportunity to learn and share and work together to preserve the legacy of Khazans for the future generations. And I think together all we can make a positive impact on this. Correct? Thank you.
I now invite the principal, Dr. Bhushan Bhave, to address the gathering. Yes, so now you can turn back.
Respected Chairman of Prabodhan Education Society, Shri Sanjay Baba Lalkar, my elderly friend and guide, Dr. Kunclekar, Principal of Government Agriculture College at Old Goa, our guest for the day, Dr. Mona Lisa Sen, on behalf of ICLEI South Asia, based at Delhi, Ms. Ritika, Ms. Saish, and all other colleagues from ICLEI, which happens to be the forum to tackle all the environmental issues, basically in the urban areas. And they are doing a great job in the field of conservation of nature, biodiversity and ecosystem of the country. We were expecting Dr. Pradeep Sarmukadam, through which we got this project, because we have a tie-up with the Goa State Biodiversity Board, and as a part of our memorandum of understanding, this program is being held. But Pradeep ji is held up at CM's office, it is heard. Our Vice Principal, Dr. Thosre, Head of our Commerce Faculty, Dr. Ujjwala, members from the management, my friend Sri Hari Atle, our Nisarga Club activists who have organized this program, our invitees for the today's function, reporters and representatives of the print and the electronic media, especially my friend Mr. Abid Pagade. In fact, International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives, the ICLAI, what it the short form is a forum or association to help the cities, towns and regions to anticipate and to respond to the complex challenges from rapid urbanization and the climate change to the ecosystem degradation and inequity. So this is the basic objective of this forum. Dear friends, so many pronunciations of the word Khazan were made here. Somebody said Khazan, somebody said Khazan. So right from the childhood, when I came to know about the first Khazan lands in Diwar and those islands, Choram and other islands, when I was a frequent visitor to that part, the question started to my mind, what is the etymology of this word? How this word has originated? Whether it is Khazan emerging from Persia and Arabics, Khajan, Khajana, as we know, the treasure, and which has also a burial, because normally the Khajana is buried somewhere and somebody gets it at one point of time. So I thought first that this word has come from that Persian or Arabic roots of Khazana. And then when I read so many textbooks, so many other references, finally I came to Dr. Nandakumar Kamath, our own scientist. And then he told that it has nothing to do with that Khazana. Of course, it is Khazana for Goa, because it gives so many, food and salt and so many other things it gives to us. It's a Khazana for Goa. It's a treasure to preserve. But then it has nothing to do with that Khazana from the Persian or the Arabic. The etymology comes from the word Ksharajanya. And Kshara means salted. Janya means having, possessing. So the land which is possessing, salinity, salty nature, that land is called as Khazan. So from Ksharajanya, it has come to Khajan. And this Khajan word, you can see it is found in many copper plates, right from the 6th century onwards. If you see the copper plates of Goa, which were given by the kings of that time, a particular man for his service to the mankind or a particular community was given that copper plate as a mark of respect, as a mark of honor to that person. And on that what was written? That this Khazan land has been given to him for cultivation. So that Khazan word comes there in the 6th century. So old is this word. You have a history of around 3000 years for Khazan lands in Goa. And from that Khazan, after 16th century, if you see the copper plates, now they have changed the word to Khazan. So from Ksharajanya to Khajjan, and from Khajjan to Khazan. This is the etymology of the word you can trace through the copper plates given by the kings during different times. The last one which I spoke about was the Vijayanagara king in the 15th, 16th century. So this is how the history comes back. And then I was satisfied. Yes, this is the real etymology of the word Khazan, and it is not Kazan. The another word which is popularly used in English for Khazan lands is Mesohaline or Mesohaline. What is meso? Is medium. The Latin word meso means medium, small quantity or medium quantity. And haline is the another pronunciation of the word saline. Many times her converts to sir and vice versa. Like people staying on the banks of river Sindhu became Hindu, sir to her. The same way saline becomes haline, right? So mesohaline means the soil which is having a salty or a saline nature. Even today, if you take some crust of that soil from Khazan lands and if you dissolve it in water and then you evaporate that water, boil it, you will get clear sodium chloride. That's a sign, that's the evidence that this soil is having. So Khazan is equivalent to saline. There is nothing, there is no difference between these two words. So I congratulate ICLEI. This is not the first book they are publishing. There are so much of work has been done so far. One person from Kumta, I forgot the name, if somebody remembers. One person from Kumta has done a beautiful collection of information on Khazan lands. It's a huge collection. Dr. Nandakumar Kamath himself have written. The lady which was shown here, Sangeeta, has also done a marvelous work on Khazans. So, in fact, we are very happy that such a book is being published in my college. The thing is that now NEP has been implemented, madam, and there is a special branch of knowledge that is called Indian Knowledge System, IKS. This entire study will come as a part of IKS. And basically it is a multidisciplinary study. So every department of my college can take up one part of it. Economics can take up the economics of Khazan lands in Goa, right? Konkani people, when I started reading Konkani literature in Goa and Marathi literature also, there are ample evidences of Khazan lands in the fiction, Goan fiction. So our language department can take up study on Khazan lands as depicted in literature. So there is a novel written on Khazan by our own N. Shudas, our great Sahitya Academy awardee writer. The name of that Marathi novel is Baghdad. Please read it. It is worth reading. Whoever is studying for Khazan lands, it's a must-read book. Baghdad. Madhusudan Joshi, a lecturer from Pharmacy College, has written a short story book named Khaute. And what is Khaute? Khaute is Khazan only. So there are so many such references in our fiction also, our literature also, which have been directly based on this culture. And that's why it is deep rooted in our culture. And that's why I'm very happy that our economics department has some activity now. Our geography department can, through the satellite images and through AI, can locate the Khazan lands in Goa and do some project on that. There are many. See, unless and until you attach your technology to such studies, as these people have also done, I congratulate the team for your marvelous work which you have produced and which is now getting published. So, in fact, we are very happy that our college is a part of this activity. We have a memorandum of understanding with Biodiversity Board, and our assistant professor, Sri Rudresh Mamal, who introduced you to this project, has done a lot of work in this direction. Our entire environmental cell is working under the guidance of Mr. Rudresh Mamal and Mr. Dr. Uddhav Port. So I congratulate our team for organizing this function. In fact, the entire land of Goa is a reclamation. All of us know the legend of Parshurama. That Parshurama, when he wanted land to stay here, he requested the sea to go away and make the land available for him. Sea refused. Then and all that story you know. what is the meaning of that? What is the derived meaning of that? It is the reclamation of land. So you see, every land in Goa is called a reclaimed land. Panji, what we call today the city, if you ask some old people, they will say Panji is not the city which we refer to today at the secretariat. Panji is what is there on Altino. Because the very word Panji is derived from the word called Pans. And what is Pans? Pans is something which is a hilly area. One has to climb the stairs. Now even going to Altino, you have to climb the stairs to reach Altino. That is Pans, that is Panji, not the lower part of the Panji. So this is how all these words have meaning in our life. If Madai is the lifeline of Goa, then definitely the Khazans are the lifeblood of Goa. They are the heartbeats of Goa. So I think this is the right occasion that we have published this book. I congratulate the entire team, including Dr. Mona Lisa, and I wish that we also will try from our end that this part will be a part of the academics that we teach in the colleges. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And just adding on to what Dr. Bhushan Bhave has just mentioned, we are going in for a Konkani translation also of the handbook, which will come out soon. Before we formally release the handbook, I invite the chief guest of today, Dr. Suresh Kunclekar, to address the gathering.
Well, good afternoon, all of you, dignitaries on the dais, all the participants here. Again, good afternoon to you and welcome to this program. So, to begin with, let me congratulate all the members of ICLEA, that is International Council for Local Environmental Initiative. They are greatly associated with the sustainable urban development, and then they are associated with Goa, I think, since last so many years. I had an opportunity to be with them since last 2 to 3 years, and I have attended their couple of the meetings, and I know exactly what they are targeting to. I think today they will be releasing shortly. They will be releasing one book. I think this will be third book here in the state of Goa. The first book is written by Dr. Sangeeta Sonak, followed by Khazan by an engineer Nadkarni. He worked for about 30 years in WRD, and then subsequently he got a lot of information, and then he published in the form of book, and then we had an opportunity to publish that book through Goa Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Subsequently, many articles are published by Dr. Nandakumar Kamath, because he is in Khazan. He is part of the Khazan since last about 25 to 30 years, and then he is very much part of many committees he headed and then put forward to even Parikar government, and then now the recent government. So what is I think we should know the principle of Khazan. What is the principle of Khazan? That is, it is like co-cultivation of the paddy and then the fish. That is the principle. So how it is, how they are working together, okay, and how is the output. For example, if there is a decay of the fish, that acts as a fertilizer to paddy. And when you harvest the paddy, there is a leftover of stubble. They decay, okay, and that acts as a feed for the fish. So I think we are forgetting some of the principles, and nowadays we are going after only the pisciculture. That is, we are going after only fish. So you have that Khaute, you have got that Baghdad. Who is doing that? I think sometimes we have the greed, okay, and that is without considering the need, real need, we go after the greed and then open these Bagdads and Khautes. Okay, the sir was mentioning about Baghdad, and it's, I think, Konkani translation is Khaute, and there was one small clip also, I think, on Khaute, they released from Old Goa. So the very word that Khazan takes me to my childhood, because my parents, my grandparents, okay, my uncles, aunties, they would go from village called Kunkolem, okay, near Mardol. sir is aware of this. And then they would travel all the way from Kunkalem and then go to Kundam, cross that ferry and go, reach Karambolim and Dongrim and Nevra. They would stay there for about 1 month or 2 months and see that there is a collective farming, community farming. My parents were not available for me for about 1 or 2 months. My grandparents were not available. If I would go to my auntie at Karambolim, she was not available. She would come only at 7 o'clock. So my parents would get a bunch of the harvested paddy at the end of the day, and then after accumulating it for about 15 to 20 days, we would thresh that, and then we would use that as our feed. So if I'm standing in front of you, I think it is only because of the Khazan, because that has taken care of me during my childhood. So coming to the area that is a Khazan, everybody knows that 18,000 hectares of the land is under Khazan, but how much is remaining now? I think you reduce 3 to 4,000 kilometers in these hectares, and then you will be left with hardly about 12,000 to 13,000 hectares. And what is happening to remaining area? Are you aware? So the remaining area is fully occupied by mangroves. And how these mangroves have come? Because we are not cultivating paddy. Why we are not cultivating paddy? Somebody has opened that Baghdad. Somebody has put the khawte. Who is responsible? Are we responsible? Or we have to put a blame on government? Was government there? Because till 1934, I think entire population of Goa was raised under agriculture. After 1934, the tourism started, mining started, and people started moving to mining. So this is the history of this. And after now, there is a problem in tourism and a little bit of problem in mining too. I think farmers are going back to the farming. Many people who were in UK, who were on ships, they are coming back. They are approaching us, and we have the statistical data to prove that more area is under cultivation, and that has happened subsequent to Corona. So, according to me, this mangrove is a man-made hazard, and because I am the agriculture graduate, I see it as a weed. What is the weed? Weed is the plant out of place, and if you say mangrove, definitely it is the plant out of place. Because in the past, till 1989 to 90s, our all farmers were cultivating entire 16,000 to 18,000 hectares of the land, okay, and they were bringing under paddy. If you go to Kundam, Kundam Plateau, you will be able to see entire Khazan in Kundam, Dongri, Nevra. It used to be totally green. I would do as a child, we would go to forest, go to that plateau and see the beautiful landscape of that paddy, the Khazan paddy. So now what is happening? Now when I go there, I see only water. And when I talk to my colleagues, they said, were there fields there? No way, it is a totally sea. But I think if some of you or your seniors or the elderly people, if you have got some photographs, please share them. Okay, so it will be documented. So at present, I think I'll be sharing what we are doing exactly, because a lot of information is there. Nandakumar has got volumes of information on Khazan. Now third book is getting released today. So we have got enough literature, we have got scientific know-how, okay, and then we should be coming together, all the government organizations, NGOs, farmers, institutes, okay, people from Goa, including my college. I think we should come together and then see that we revived our tradition, which is about 3,000 years old. Sometimes I just wonder, about 2,000 to 3,000 years back, what was happening? They did not have mobile, they did not have any JCB, they did not have any caterpillar. Okay, how would they communicate? How would they work? From when I came down to Goa after about 25 to 30 years, government had given me one project on reviving the agriculture in Goa, and then Khazan was one of the objectives there. So I started again working I would walk about 5 to 10 kilometers per day along the burns of this Khazan. And I would wonder, during childhood, I would go there, but not much of the perception. So big boulders, okay, big stones. How would they bring it? How did they bring it? They did not have any caterpillars, no trucks. Okay, now we have got mining trucks, we have got all the facilities to transport. But during that time, I don't think anything was there. They had only one spade on the shoulder and one loincloth on the body. Okay, with that I think they have done this miracle, and that is why it is a heritage for the state of Goa. The success of story of the community, I'll just tell you. So if you motivate the youth, if you motivate the youngsters, if you motivate people, I think we can bring back that past glory. And then there are success stories. 4 to 5 years back, one Mr. Nestor Rangel, he is an engineer, electronic engineer. He was in Bombay. He came down to his village in Santiste and thought of going for the community farming. So what he has done, he started motivating people. He started motivating young youth, people who are on ships. He collected some funds from them. He found out what is the area available in Santiste. So he put the machinery because he is an engineer, and then he started cultivating the paddy. About 10 to 20 hectares of the land was brought under cultivation. And what they have done afterwards, they branded their product, that is boiled rice, ukra tanur, tamra tanur. And then they sold it at 40 rupees to 60 rupees per kilo about 2 to 3 years back. Now I am buying boiled rice at Miramar at the rate of 120 to 180 rupees per kilo. Can you believe it? So that is the value addition. What farmers get? 20 to 30 rupees. Maybe MRP is just about 80 to 20 rupees now. But if you go for the community farming, if you motivate the people, if you motivate the youth, okay, I think they get motivated. I will tell you the next story. So we have the paddy man known as Father Kadros from Lotlin. What is he doing? So he is actually the paddy man, real farmers who has got a concern for the society, for the Khazan in Goa. What he does is he brought 2 to 3 Kubota machines, okay, and what he does is he raises the seedlings and he transplants. He takes about 4 to 5 rupees per square meter, and per day he brings about 5 to 10 acres of the land with one Kubota machine under cultivation by transplanting. He does everything. He raises the seedlings, he puts on machine, that is on Kubota, he comes, he plows and he transplants. I think when we have got this type of facilities, and if we have got the land, we have got fellow land, fellow Khazan, why can't we use this facility and then bring your area under cultivation? We sometimes feel that everything should be like done by government. I don't think it is possible for any government across the world to do justice for each and every person. Okay. So next one is what we have done personally, for example. So Professor Wag, you may be knowing, is the head of the Department of Computers in Goa University. He is hailing from village called Dongri. So in 2020, when I got a project from state government, what we have done is I was moving to different locations in Dungrim and then Nevra. He got the information and he joined hands with me. Eventually what we have done is, because we know this Kundam and Dungrim and Nevra Khazan is about 2,000 hectares area and major Khazan in Tiswadi Taluka. So what we have done is we started having the meetings with the local youth, local villagers. We first targeted local youth, then we started the middle age people, and then the seniors who have got a lot of knowledge. And we started motivating them. So all the youth, they started joining us, and then they told us we are with you. Okay, and then they said, because we are getting some government jobs nowadays, okay, we are not moving to Khazan land, but during our childhood we had same paddy, we had same vegetables, pulses grown on those Khazan burns, and then we are grown up on that. So we have got something in mind that we should return back. Then they said, we'll join you and then let us go for cultivation of the Khazan. So we had many challenges. You know, the government means tractor is not available, power tillers are not available, seed is not available. So tractors were not going to paddy field, Khazan field. We hired the power tillers. We spent something from our pocket. Seeds were not available because we need salt tolerant varieties. So we approached agriculture minister. He gave us 200 kilos of the seeds. So what we have done, I put a seed in my vehicle and I took it to Dangri village. And on one Sunday we started plowing. When we started plowing the land after about 23 years, because for 23 years nobody was cultivating it. We brought 2 to 3 hectares of the land under cultivation. How did we do it? We went with the power tillers, we plowed the land, okay, and one Sunday we got the services of one expert. He broadcasted, used, and then broadcasted the seeds, and then saw that it is germinating after about 15 to 20 days. After about 3 to 4 months, we harvested it in the month of November. Everything is documented. So you know one Khazan system. One is a paddy, fish is there. On bunds, what do? They cultivate vegetables, they cultivate pulses, they cultivate brinjals, chili, and onion. And you know, cost of the local onion now, 400 rupees kilo. It is not actually 1 kilo. They give that gatan type of thing. Okay, and then I buy at about 300 rupees per gatan. Okay, and then Nevra, and then the Dongri was a hub for this local onion, kano they say. Okay, so we couldn't get kano seedlings. Okay, but we saw that we could grow the pulses. We had planted some marigold there, roses, and then we went for the cultivation of tomato. We went for cultivation of some pulses. Okay, marigold, pulses, cabbage, even cauliflower we raised in the month of October to December. Okay, so this Dongri village, it is actually the hub for the Khazan. What would happen in the past? From Mangalore, there used to be some big canoes we call kotwas. Konkani people maybe knowing. So we have got actuaries entering the Dongri and then the Nevra villages from that Kumbarzua canal. So kotwas from Mangalore would come here to Dongri village. And while coming, what would they do? They would bring the Mangalore tiles. I think 70 to 80% of our population have got Mangalore tiles roofs at home. Even I have got big house and we have got Mangalore tiles. So they would supply Mangalore tiles to Goa. And while going, what would they do? They would take the boiled rice. Okay, paddy or the boiled rice. So it was like a barter system, and then economy was there. Nevra and Dongri villages were big hub for the commercial activities as far as paddy is concerned, Khazan is concerned. So my question to all of you is, are we able to face that challenges with our all modern facilities, okay, and amenities, and can we bring that glory, that is Khazan, back? So I'll just take another 3 to 4 minutes. We have initiated one more project, that is a model project on Khazan. So what we are doing is, we have taken help of one farmer from Miner Meshim, I think your group may be knowing. And then what he's doing is cultivating paddy. He has got a big fish pond now, and it is financed by NABARD, okay, through ICR. And then on bunds he has planted vegetables. He has got small nursery, and then one bund he has coconuts. Okay, he has got coconuts, fishes, paddy, and different types of vegetables, pulses, and then the nursery he grafts. So his economy works. Then, if it is successful, we want to replicate this Khazan model across Goa. Okay, and then if any one of you is interested in seeing this model, please join me. I am ready to take you to this model in Mershe any point of time. So in our college, what we are trying to do is, we are also trying to take the trial of salt tolerant varieties, because in Khazan only salt tolerant varieties can be grown. So trial is on in our very college. So our idea is to also go for cultivation of the fodder, because there is a deficit of about 3.5 lakh liters of water in this milk per day in Goa. So the actual requirement is 4 lakh liters during tourism season, but at present yield is about 35,000 liters. So you can make out almost 3 lakh liters milk shortage. So if we can grow the fodder in this Khazan area, and then we are taking trial on the CO5 variety, Coimbatore variety, resistant to salt. So and it is successful. Okay. So if it is successful, I am in touch with proposed Goa College of Veterinary Science and Animal Husbandry. I think shortly it will be established in a period of 2 to 3 months. So this college can join hands with Khazan people and then the researchers, and then cultivate fodder in this area and help to boost the milk production in the state of Goa. You may be hearing to our Honorable Chief Minister, every time he says that we should not get milk from neighboring states, because all this milk comes from Karnataka mostly and partly from Maharashtra. Coming to the science now. So we have got, Saish was mentioning that there is a kingfisher here, and then one environmentalist told me there is unique species of kingfisher in Dongrim area. So somebody told me there are 3 species of bulbul, okay, and then there are different clams are available, crocodiles are available, different birds are available, 16 species of mangroves are available. And then, don't you feel that we should be researching on this? I think some students are sitting here. I think there is a need to establish biotech lab for DNA fingerprinting, okay, and generating the data. I have already initiated the process of establishing such a molecular biotech lab in my lab, in my college, and I think another 2 to 3 months I'll be initiating the project on this. Basically, I am a biotechnologist. I got expertise in fingerprinting. I have got expertise in genetically modified organism. So I am training my teachers to run such programs. So DNA markers, paddy varieties there and then the vegetable fingerprinting, I think will be initiating the work on this shortly. There is a car board in Maharashtra, because they are totally working on the car. You know this one. The Khazan has come from the Kharsan or Sharyukta land, and in Maharashtra they call it is a car land, and then they have got a board. I think I am in touch with government to take help of this car board. Also, I am thinking of joining hands with IITs and then with ICLEI, the engineering people, engineering colleges, okay, and then our ancestors, okay, and then our not ancestors, our seniors. So they can come together, and then I think there is a immediate need to design the burns for the Khazan, because now you may be knowing that why Khaute is there. It is not only the people who are responsible, crabs are also responsible, because what is happening at present is these contractors, they dump that laterites to the soil, and then I think it is very easy for the crabs to dig into this, and because of that there is a Khaute, okay, there is a Baghdad. So I think with the modern technology, I think we should involve people like IITs, okay, MITs to design burns, because nowadays that chikhol is not available. Because and then I interacted with some of the contractors, say that it is a Herculean task to get the chikhol there. Okay, getting mud is very difficult. That is why they are just throwing or dumping that easily available lateritic soil. Okay, but I think we have got modern technology, we have got modern fabric, we have got so many things. We should consider that, and then I think we should design it. So I am also in touch with government to design such strategies. So a few days back, Goa government has asked our ICR Old Goa to submit a project on Khazan development for the state of Goa, and they have given the timeline also, that is 6 months. So in addition to that, let me see if I can do something involving the ICR New Delhi. Okay, and then so I just one last 3 or 4 lines. there are opportunities for the entrepreneurs in the state of Goa. I know one Mr. Karmo, what he has done, okay, how he has made use of the Khazan. Last year what he has done is he cultivated or he has grown clams. How many? Shinavno, you know, Shinavno, 2,000 kilos. So that is 20 quintals, that is 2 tons. Is it possible for any person to grow it or raise it? But he has done it. Where he has done it? Very much in Khazan. I visited his farm in Raya village, and then he said it is very easy. If any farmer from Goa is interested to raise clams and then join hands with him for commercial aspects, he is ready to share the technology. So what he has done, so 2,000 kilos, no buyers in Goa. So what we talk about the value addition, right? So what he has done is he removed the shells and then he used those clams for value addition. What he has done, he prepared a pickle and sold in premier market. Okay, so you got premium income. It is happening right in the state of Goa. So I think young youth, you have got such opportunities, and then you should join hands with such entrepreneur. Now what he is doing, he is visiting different countries across the world, and he is trying to get the technology for the clams, for fisheries, for breeding the fish in our very Goa state. Okay, and then many a times he comes and we have the brainstorming on genetic aspects and the biotechnology aspects of this. Okay, and I think another 2 to 3 years he will come with some research stations in association with Goa. So now let us come together, I think, finally to develop the Khazan and bring back the past glory to continue Khazan as a rice bowl of Goa for the prosperity, food security, job opportunities, and for Atmanirbhar Goa. Jai Goa, Jai Hind, Namaskar. Thank you so much.
I now invite the dignitaries to formally release the handbook. One request, can I have my full team up? This is not my work, this is their work actually. Please. Please come.
Saisha and Saish.
Come on. Just give it to one. Both of you hold one. Just view from there, it's an automodal.